on, everybody? You are back on another edition of Ballin Over Beers. It's a very special edition. We're recording this on St. Patrick's Day, joined as always by my guys, James Fitch, aka How. I'm Justin Dupengeyser. Fellas, cheers. Cheers to St. Patty's Day. Um, Hope everybody had a good day. If you're out there celebrating St. Patty's Day, hope your glasses stayed full all day.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I think, like these fellas, I had to work today, so I did not get to enjoy any of the celebrations. Not that there probably was too many going on out there with COVID, but
This is my first beer.
yes, glad to be enjoying a beer and talking some football. We're doing the NFL show right now, and there is news aplenty with this free agency period. Actually, just before we got live, there was another big signing, which we will get to, which I think is going to be a pretty exciting one. Let's just start in general, and we'll go just any thoughts you have about the free agency period so far up to this point, James?
Couple surprises. I didn't see Aaron Jones re-signing with the Packers. I did not see New England going just crazy in the free agency market. That's totally not who they are and who Belichick is, and especially to sign two big name tight ends. I thought that was a little surprising. Other than that, I don't know. The signing that just came through is pretty exciting. The Washington football team is, I think, they're going to be good, right?
Yeah, they're going to be very good. AK, what about you? Any thoughts just off the top, just in general?
There hasn't been really too many big flashes so far, so to speak. Like everything was leading up to obviously no quarterback trades yet, like we kind of thought there wouldn't be.
Yeah.
And Aaron Jones staying with the Packers is surprising, but not as fun as him going to a new team where you can speculate how he's going to do or how AJ Dillon's going to do or anything like that.
Yeah, I think my biggest one was the Trent Williams, man. He got paid. He made serious cash. Not that's going to have like a tremendous fantasy implication or anything like that, but I mean, obviously it helps the 49ers run game and pass game because he's one of the best left tackles in football. But for a guy that is 30 something years old, just became the highest paid tackle in NFL history, which I thought was pretty wild. But let's talk some of these moves, and the first thing I want to start with is the wide receiver market. And right before we got on here, Curtis Samuel just got signed to a deal with the Washington football team, 3 years, $34.5 million, and he is now paired up with Terry McLaurin, which Washington also already signed Mr. Ryan Fitzpatrick, the ultimate bridge quarterback fantasy dream. The guy is just, for a guy that's been a bridge quarterback pretty much at every NFL team at this point, he has made so much money. Like, what, Fitzmagic, congratulations, buddy. I envy your career in life at this
He's finally
point.
going to get a playoff game.
Yeah, right. He definitely could. Like, I mean, in that division, right? Washington's
you got to say Washington's the best team in that division.
Yeah.
Their defense is loaded, and they got Gibson, now Samuel, McLaurin, Fitzmagic.
Yeah, James, what do you think that does for McLaurin from a fantasy standpoint, having Fitzmagic and now like a true number 2 wide receiver, which he didn't have anybody. He got all the last year.
I mean, he had Logan Thomas, but outside of that, I mean, it's huge. I mean, this is probably saying a lot by saying that Fitzpatrick is like the best quarterback they've had in a while. It shouldn't be saying much, but it is. And I think that's because Fitzpatrick's not afraid to just open up the field and throw the ball down the field. Whereas, you got Alex Smith, who's not prone to do that. And you had, I don't even remember his name anymore because he was just not worth remembering.
Dwayne Haskins.
Haskins, yeah. He was just wildly inaccurate at quarterback. So I think this gives him a big bump. McLaurin will definitely be a guy that I will look to acquire in fantasy drafts this season. I've had him each of the last 2 years, and I don't want to shy away from him again this year if I can get him.
Pretty much everywhere Fitzpatrick has gone, the number one wide receiver has completely balled out and had over like 120 catches. It doesn't matter where the stop has been. he just force feeds those guys the football. Even, Devontae Parker had 120 something catches the year, he started when he was with the Dolphins. I mean, he's been everywhere, and pretty much every number one wide receiver has excelled. So to me, I think McLaurin, if you're out there looking for a wide receiver, looking to trade for a wide receiver, I think that he would be a guy to be targeting. I don't think he would be cheap, but man, I love the upside. He's somebody that I could see even sliding into top 5 wide receiver territory. AK, do you think that top 5 is too high, or do you think his ceiling is there?
I mean, his ceiling's there. It's just the wide receiver position is so deep in the NFL. It's, you have to stay healthy for one. Two, it's going to come down to touchdowns. He's going to get the 100 catches and 1,100 yards, but is he going to get 12 touchdowns or 7 touchdowns? And I think touchdowns are too, variant to kind of predict that. But I mean, I can definitely see him being a, number 3, number 4 receiver in the NFL fantasy wise.
Right. I mean, he was so good last year. Like James just went through the quarterbacks that he had to play with, and he was still so highly productive. It's pretty wild.
I think with McLaurin, you'll see his floor rise a bit. He was capable last year of those 2 for 34, 3 for 40 games, and I think we'll see less of those with Fitzpatrick. That's just kind of my thought.
I agree with that. And just in general, I think the offense is going to take a major step up because, like we said, now you have somebody you can put on the opposite side of him with Curtis Samuel, who Curtis Samuel is kind of pegged as like this deep threat and only went like on vertical passes when he first came in the league. And then Joe Brady last year with the Panthers figured out how to use him. Like he gets open in space quickly and you send him on underneath routes and make him, get some carries and play out of the backfield a little bit. Like he is a dynamic player. Now you think with Antonio Gibson, who is kind of a similar guy who has a wide receiver background from Memphis and plays running back for them, they're going to have guys that are interchangeable, and that makes that offense like very dangerous in my opinion, especially for a guy like talking about Fitzmagic and how he's, he's just like a journeyman, but he is a guy to go in there that can produce, and he is not afraid to throw interceptions, which means he's not afraid to throw the football down the field. He will just keep chucking it and chucking it and chucking it, which is what you want for fantasy, right?
Yeah, he has nothing to lose.
No.
Yeah, no.
He's like at this point of his career.
He's like 3 years from now, I'll probably get another deal with somebody that needs a bridge quarterback. That's
for sure.
That's what he does. I love the dude. Like I said, I'm a fan of Fitzmagic. He's great. He's great for the NFL.
I think it's big that Samuel's reuniting with Ron Rivera too. There's familiarity there, so I think that'll be huge for him.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. That's a good point. The other big receiver that was kind of on the market after Allen Robinson was tagged, it was Kenny Galladay, and he still has not found a landing spot. Look at AK. AK's already got a big smile on his face because he knows he's like, the latest news coming out of Cincinnati is that they want Mr. Kenny Galladay. It's apparently the Giants and the Bengals are making a huge push for him. AK, talk to me.
I saw that coming.
Yeah, right?
Those two teams.
I know. Talk to me about the Bengals and his fit there.
I mean, they would have the best offense in the league without question. No, but seriously, I think he would fit in great there. They got T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Boyd would move, more back to the slot area, and Galladay would be a number 1. And with Joe Burrow, if you're getting equal money, who would you rather play with, Danny Dimes or Joe Burrow?
Right.
I think the Bengals have a better offense. Their offensive line is a little questionable, but if they sign Galladay, that makes me excited for the draft. They're not going to draft a receiver early, and they're going to, shore up the offensive line. So I can see it helping both teams, but as a Bengals fan, I'm a little biased, and I think their offense would be pretty explosive with those 3 receivers. I know James hates them, but Joe Mixon, and then a healthy Joe Burrow back there.
Yeah, they still need a running back, but that's all right.
Well, they just signed one. They just signed Samaje Perine back, I think.
Did they?
Yeah. So there's their back.
They still got Gio.
Gio, yeah, Mr. Mustache. That dude, I had him in Dynasty, and when Mixon went down, like, I didn't start him the game that he blew up, and I started him the game that everybody thought he was going to blow up, and he did nothing. He was benched after, like, 1 fumble, so he screwed me big time in that one. But, no, to me, the Bengals make a ton of sense. I actually, when I thought about it, I kind of thought about Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, right? when the Chiefs have, well, you think about when the Chiefs
Oh,
had,
I thought you meant for right,
no, when the Chiefs had Mahomes on a rookie deal, right? They went out and they
right.
got Sammy Watkins. They paid him big money to be wide receiver too. They shored up Tyreek Hill, extended him. Travis Kelsey, they extended him. You try to when your quarterback's on a rookie deal, you try to spend money and put as much talent around him as you possibly can to help him excel. And you're able to do that because eventually the quarterback's going to be paid. And obviously Burrow was on pace and playing to a point where he's going to get a contract, once his rookie deal is up. I wouldn't expect him, as long as he comes back healthy to take another step. James, do you have the Giants? Like, what would that do for him? Because the Giants, no, who signed John Brown? Raiders?
The Raiders.
Raiders.
Okay. So I was thinking the Giants for some reason, but what would Kenny Galladay in that Giants offense do for you? Anything?
Yeah, I think they don't have. I don't think they have really a number one. They have Darius Slayton, right? Evan Ingram, I think is. I don't know if he's a free agent. I've heard his name tossed around in the tight end market. I don't know if that's trades, but they don't have a lot. Obviously, they've got Barkley, but in the passing game, I don't think they have a lot. So I think adding a guy like Galladay would definitely make that offense better. It's hard to say. I was reading a Twitter thread from I'm drawing a blank on who it was, but it was Matt Harmon was talking about like what kind of quarterback is Danny Dimes, like what is he good at? Like each quarterback is good at something, and it's hard to really kind of pin down what he's actually good at. So maybe like a deep threat like that would kind of unlock that potential for him. So I think it would definitely bolster that offense.
Yeah, I think the best thing that Daniel Jones is good at is his running ability, right? He
Falling at the 10-yard line.
Falling.
Sprinting 80 yards down the field, outrunning everybody.
He doesn't, to Harmon's point, I mean, he doesn't really have an identity at this point.
No, he's been pretty up and down. That team was pretty bad. Like they were not.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, Barkley obviously being down doesn't help them, and he should help. Obviously the offense just because of the type of athlete that he is. But I think Galladay would be interesting there because then you have Slayton who can also push the ball down the field and is a good vertical threat. We kind of saw that from him where he kind of exploded on the scene out of nowhere a couple of years ago. And then I think Galladay would be a pretty interesting guy to add into that mix. I love Kenny Galladay's skill set. I think he would be, honestly, I think he'd be a great addition in Kansas City if they're looking for a true like X wide receiver. He could be that big bodied guy that they don't really have right now in Kansas City, but he would be certainly interesting. Another guy in the wide receiver market, Corey Davis, he was kind of the first wide receiver that actually went off the board as far as a guy free agent signing. He signed with the New York Jets. I guess there's a couple questions here. AK, do you think that this is them trying to load up at the wide receiver position because they still have Jameson Crowder, who, say what you want about him, the guy has been productive. Like he puts up, he gets a ton of catches. They still have Denzel Mims, who they drafted and were pretty high on, who was coming on strong at the end of the year. And now they had Corey Davis. So they have three good guys. Do you think that this is trying them to position to make a trade for Watson?
I'm not really sure. I think a lot of teams are followers in the NFL and saw a lot of three wide sets last year or the last couple of years, So I think teams are, following instead of really planning for the future. But they could be gearing up for Watson. I just, don't see the Texans trading Watson away.
Yeah, it's somebody, I want to say, it might have been Albright. I can't remember who tweeted out, but he said somebody talked to an NFL executive and they asked him about Sam Darnold, and or maybe it was Matt Miller, and apparently the guy texted him back and said, "Dude, he stinks, bro," or something like that. Like, so I don't know.
Pete Carroll.
Yeah, Pete. I was gonna say Seattle.
Pete Carroll said he loves them.
I know that would be wild. Trade him straight up, Darnold and Rusty. Get it going. James, receivers. Those three receivers: Corey Davis, Jamison Crowder, Denzel Mims. Who do you think of those three has the most value fantasy-wise?
Probably Mims. I think Mims is the one. I would say It's a toss-up between Crowder and Corey Davis. Corey Davis, I think, had his best season last year. He came on strong. He's probably more. I think Crowder's more of that slot inside guy, and I think Davis is a bigger receiver that is probably going to be in the outside too. But overall, I think I would take Mims.
Yeah, I think Mims has certainly the highest upside. He's more of your big play guy. I think Crowder still is going to get so many targets. Like,
Yeah.
I think he could still get over 100 catches, and like, he is not going to be drafted high in redrafts or anything like that. You could pick him up late, and he could be a guy that gets you, 100 catches, 900 yards, and be super productive for you the entire year. So I think.
Crowder's
I like.
Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say I like Crowder a lot as like your fourth or fifth receiver on your fantasy team. Where if you lose someone or on bye weeks that
yep.
someone that's going to get you 4 catches and 50 yards, and you're going to get 8 or 9 points for a floor. You're not going to be expecting him to get the 180-yard 2-touchdown game, but you're going to get a couple catches and 30, 40 yards out of him. So it's a nice bye week floor play.
He's not a guy you're going to feel comfortable starting every week. Same with Corey Davis, I would think.
Right.
And Mims is your dynasty guy, right? He's a dynasty pickup. He's a dynasty ad if you can get him. He's 23, so he's young. He's a big guy, 6'3". So I didn't think he had that big of a build. I thought he was a smaller guy. I just looked it up. So apparently he's bigger in size too.
Yeah, he's long, he's athletic. To me, I think that it's almost Corey Davis is almost wide receiver 3 there. Like he's not going to be the guy again. Like I wouldn't be too high on him in redraft or dynasty. And the other thing is, you mentioned it, James. This was his best year, this last one, and guess what? He was a free agent. The free agent year is undefeated, man. Everybody knows that when you're a free agent, you gotta produce because you need that second contract, and it's undefeated. So to me, Davis is still wide receiver 3 with the Jets. I like Crowder much more, and then like you said, Mims is kind of your big play, high end guy. So
unless you're AJ Brown and that passing offense, you're just not a priority. So I do think it's good for Davis to get away from Derrick Henry and that run heavy offense. So it'll be interesting to see how he's used in New York.
It's going to be very interesting for sure. You wonder too with, new head coach in Robert Saleh and them taking, the pass game coordinator from the 49ers over to be the offensive coordinator, what that offense is going to look like. I mean, I would imagine it's going to look a lot like the offenses you see the Kyle Shanahan run with the wide zone, play action, a lot of movement in the passes and stuff. So that makes me like, a Jameis Crowder even more, just with that style of offense, if that's what they're going to do, which I think they would want to. I think that would help Darnold's skill set too. Get him on play action boots, get him out. He's athletic to get out of the pocket, make some easy throws, kind of protect him like the Niners do with Jimmy Garoppolo. That makes a lot of sense to me. Let's shift gears from wide receivers and talk running back for a second here. You mentioned kind of at the beginning, James, Aaron Jones. We hit at length in previous shows talked about Aaron Jones on a running back ranking show about, we didn't think there was any way, he was going to go back to Green Bay. I think that was a pretty surprising signing, and because they kept him and re-signed Aaron Jones, they actually got rid of Jamal Williams, who ended up signing with Detroit, which is interesting. That's going to be an interesting team. By interesting, I mean bad.
They're going to be really bad.
Dude, did you see the Michael Brockers thing?
No.
So Michael Brockers was with the Rams, plays defensive end, was actually captain with the Rams, and when the Rams traded for Stafford, he was talking about how much of an upgrade and how much of a level up it was at the quarterback position. And then
I did remember seeing
got
that.
traded to the Lions, so he's back with Goff, who was just shit talking and saying that he's not as good as Stafford. Oh my God, that is.
Oh, I mean, it's true though.
I know, but man, is that funny?
Jared Goff has to know that's true.
Yeah, but dude, somebody out there saying it, and then he gets traded to the team you're on. I think that's hysterical. I mean,
Goff started in a Super Bowl. It wasn't him. I think we all know that. But
right.
If you're Goff, you've got that at least.
Right. I thought that was awesome. But anyways, let's talk Aaron Jones. James, what do you think this does for him staying in Green Bay?
I mean, it's good that Williams is gone. I'm uncertain as to what Dylan's usage will be going forward. I mean, they used high draft capital on him, which is why I'm surprised they kept Aaron Jones. I mean, how many teams are drafting a running back in the second round and then handing out big contracts to a running back that everyone thought was going to be gone, especially a running back they took in the 5th or 6th round, right? Like the draft capital, like equity there is just, it's off. But he's produced. So, I mean, I don't know how you don't continue to go to him. I can't imagine the season that Rodgers had last year where they just keep throwing touchdown passes from the 1 yard line. Like I can't see, much like Jones had regression from 2019 where he had like 19, 18 touchdowns. Like I have to imagine that Rodgers is going to regress a little bit too. So I don't know. I kind of like Jones heading into next season.
That's interesting. I have a slightly different viewpoint on it. And I think it's
you would.
I think it's the Guinness talking. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think it's that AJ Dillon is that big bruiser type back where I think that he'll end up getting all of those goal line touches. You know, he seems like that type of guy where I don't know if he'll be as good in the pass, where last year Jamal Williams, he's a good pass catcher out of the backfield.
I agree with you on that. Like I can definitely see Dillon getting some of those red zone or goal line touches, but I think Jones is going to get more of that passing work back that Williams vultured.
Exactly. That's why. So he might get more catches, but I don't know if the touchdowns will increase. But I do think he could be used more in the passing game, which I think obviously with everybody does either half point PPR or PPR now. So I think that does make Jones pretty valuable. But AK, going forward, do you think that Jones is a sell high type of guy if you have him in like a keeper league or dynasty or something like that? Or would you hold him?
I think I would hold him for, at least this year. And then if you had to trade him next year, you might lose a little bit of value. But I still think in that offense, they're not paying that kind of money for him not being like the bell cow running back, in my opinion. All the trades, I think all the people that traded for AJ Dillon the last couple of weeks are pretty upset with themselves because people were way overpaying for him, expecting, Jones to be gone, and now they are just way overpaid for a number 2 running back. And in the dynasty world, that could hurt you in the long term.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually offered in one of my dynasty leagues. I was offered a first for Aaron Jones and then like a third or something back. And I declined it because I wanted to hold Jones, but I wasn't sure because then I was like, man, did I want that first? I don't know. I didn't think it was enough for him at that point.
I would have done what you did. I would have held one first isn't enough. How much did you give me for Mixon, AK? 2 firsts?
I don't remember.
Yeah, 2 firsts.
And then he got hurt a week later.
Well, regardless of that, if he hadn't, him getting hurt makes the deal sound better. If he hadn't, who knows? But I think if the market for Mixon is somewhere along 2 firsts, like Jones is at least that, because in my opinion, Jones is just the better back. He's produced.
Right.
But the other thing is, though, every trade is different because looking back on it, I was in the money at the time I did the trade, and I was looking to make a push for first place. So I'm going to pay up a little bit more for that, where, if this person is in last place. So every trade's a little bit different, but I don't think that Jones is worth just a single first.
No, me neither. That's why I held him. I think just like we said, I think the PPR value there, and plus the Packers want to run the football, right? Like they do want to still be a run first team. He's going to get his touches, whether it's through the air or the ground. He's probably going to get 15 touches a game. The thing with him I just worry about is the touchdowns, because I think that AJ Dillon will be the guy in those type of situations. So.
He still had, I want to say 10 touchdowns last year. And I brought this up before where it did not seem like he had a great season because of all the touchdowns that went to Devontae Adams from the 1 yard line, or touchdown TD Tanyan.
Yeah.
He had 9 touchdowns last year. That's just rushing. I can't see receiving, but that's not a bad season.
Dude, if you would have had me guessed, I would have said like 5. Like I would have.
1,100 yards rushing, 9 touchdowns, 47 receptions. That's a good season. It just didn't feel that way because Jamal Williams vultured a lot of additional work that could have gone back to Jones. And Jones missed 1 or 2 games too.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right. And that's the thing. I guess he's one of those players that he doesn't need the full workload, right? Like some of these guys, like you think Derrick Henry, like Derrick Henry's he's a volume guy, right? He needs to get the 20
Right.
touches because he's not going to get those catches. He's not going to get that type of work, and he's not going to have that type of efficiency where obviously Henry's a stud, but Henry or what's his face we were just talking about, Aaron Jones, he's going to get those numbers out of 12 to 15 touches a game. So yeah, I like him. Jamal Williams, let's talk about that real quick with him in Detroit. What do you think that hurts DeAndre Swift at all?
I have no idea what the Detroit Lions are doing. They have DeAndre Swift, who last year looked like a true number one running back. And now with Jamal Williams, maybe they want that like change of pace guy, but I just don't see that offense being anything I want any part of.
No, I don't think. I mean, the question is Dan Campbell, Mr. Kneecap Biter, how much is this dude going to want to run the football? Like, if he's going to just pound the ball, I still think DeAndre Swift has value. Like, he's a very good football player, right? Like,
But if you're defending the Lions, are you going to have anyone in who are the Lions receivers and have Jared Goff at quarterback? So even if they want to run it.
That is a very good question. I honestly don't know who the wide receivers are on the Lions right now. Like Marvin Jones went to Jacksonville, right? And then Kenny Galladay's still a free agent. Like there's your two leading receivers. I guess they got TJ Hawkinson at tight end.
Danny Amendola and then Quintez Cephas, I think.
Quintez Cephas from Wisconsin, who was a rookie last year. He actually stepped in and did a pretty nice job when Kenny Galladay got hurt. But I don't think that you're trusting for him to be a guy like that offense. Like you said, that offense is. I guess I would look to DeAndre Swift, but man, that offense could be pretty bad.
They signed Tyrell Williams too.
Okay.
Ooh.
Oh, and Josh Hill. Can't forget about Josh Hill.
That's Dan Campbell's boy. He probably coached him in the tight end.
Tyrell Williams is not a bad signing. He had showed some promise with the Raiders before getting hurt. I don't hate it. I mean, he's not going to do a lot, but
no, I can't see him doing much. No, I can't see him doing much at all. Let's talk about some other moves that have happened in free agency so far, and let's head down to New Orleans, where they looked and finally signed Mr. Jameis Winston, but it's come out that AK's boy, Mr. Taysom Hill, Mr. $150 billion contract, voidable contract guy, is apparently going to be in an open QB competition with Jameis Winston. There's no way in hell Taysom Hill's starting at quarterback for New Orleans, right?
I'll let AK
I'm going to
answer.
plead the fifth.
Dude, there's no way. There's no way.
Did Jameis Winston's LASIK surgery help? Is going to be the question.
Dude.
I mean, Sean Payton loves Taysom Hill, and I don't think he's paid him that much money unless he truly thinks that he can compete for that job.
No. It's the worst. It might be the worst contract in the NFL. The dude he's making almost $20 million as a utility gadget guy.
He's the best all-around football player in history.
Yes, it's him, Jim Brown, Otto Graham, Sammy Baugh. Yes, those guys, they can do it all. They can do it all. James, your screen is frozen, by the way.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having some connectivity issues over here.
All right, that's all right.
How long have I been frozen for?
Well, about 20 seconds. Ever since AK said that Taysom Hill is the best all-around football player, it froze everything. It completely destroyed your connection, spewing that garbage out everywhere. I actually think that Jameis Winston could be pretty good with the Saints, James. What do you think that offense? I mean, I don't know if they'll be as efficient as obviously Breeze. Like Breeze is like the most accurate quarterback like in NFL history, arguably. Like he's phenomenal. But I think he could do good things in that offense.
Yeah, I like him more. I think Peyton will help him hopefully rein in the turnovers and just make him a better overall quarterback.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to throw the ball down the field. He's got Michael Thomas. He's got Kamara. He's got offensive weapons. So I just like him better overall.
Yeah, I do too. I think he's just way more upside. I'm here for the Jameis Winston experiment, dude. I love that dude. I wish he would have got another shot with the Bucks. 30 TDs, 30 picks. Like, can you imagine anything more exciting when a dude drops back to pass and you don't know whether it's going to be a touchdown or a pick? That is electric, man. That is electricity personified. I love that dude. Last thing before we get out of here, we need to talk about Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is doing the most un-Belichickian things I think I've ever seen. He's gone out and spent like $340 million in free agency. He is completely redoing this offense. It's, Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, Nelson Aguilar. Who's the other receiver?
Kendrick Bourne.
Kendrick Bourne. They re-signed Cam Newton. Where is this offense going, AK?
This offense is going in the direction the NFL defense is not wanting it to. I kind of mentioned it earlier. A lot of teams are followers in the NFL. Bill Belichick has always kind of been a forward thinker, and now defenses are getting smaller. He's now getting bigger. He's going to go 12 personnel. He loves controlling the middle of the football field. He's always loved that all the way back when he was with the Giants, then the Browns. Michael Lombardi even said when he got hired with the Browns, their memo to everyone was, we are going to control the middle of the field on offense and defense. And I see the Patriots doing that again. I mean, you're going to have mismatches all over. It's not going to be a high-powered, explosive offense, but it's going to be, if Cam Newton's decent, I think it's going to be an offense that's going to be pretty tough to stop, especially if they get anything out of Damian Harris or if they get another running back like a Phillip Lindsay or something back there.
James, do you think that they draft a quarterback to kind of go with all these things, to maybe sit behind Cam for a little bit and then potentially even step in and take over if Cam's not playing well, like a Mac Jones or a Trey Lance or somebody like that?
Yeah, I think they have to. You can't. I don't know how they.
Oh, we just lost.
We just
James.
lost James.
He'll have to come back, but I think what he's saying is correct. I don't think that you can go into the season with just Cam Newton after how.
No, I agree. I think they're going to draft Mac Jones.
See, I think they're going to draft Trey Lance.
I don't think Trey Lance. They have to trade up for Trey Lance.
I don't think so. I maybe. What are they? 15, 13 or 15 or something like that?
15, something like that.
15. Yeah, I mean, potentially. I think the one thing that would make the Patriots offense super interesting is that Trey Lance is athletic and he can run, and you could run RPOs and you could run some of the stuff that Cam ran with the quarterback runs.
Right.
You can go those heavy sets with the multiple tight ends and still be able to throw out of it, but also have the threat of the quarterback running, which, like you said, I honestly do think that's part of what Belichick is doing. He's seeing where the NFL is going with putting more safeties and corners and DBs on the field and getting faster and smaller defensive linemen. So he's thinking, okay, if you're going to get smaller, I'm going to be bigger and I'm going to make your little guys tackle my big guys and get off blocks of my big guys. And that's kind of how he wants to play it. So
I know. I mean, this is a football show, but kind of like the NBA. Everyone was big men, and the Warriors went small and dominated the league. Now everyone's going small. Now you're seeing the big men come back and Jokic and Embiid and dominate the league. It's all cyclical. And I trust Bill Belichick. There's a lot of people that think it was all Tom Brady, but Bill Belichick's coaching job last year was probably one of his best he's ever done with that terrible of a team. And they still won 7 games. That guy can coach a football team. He can coach defense. If he can get anything out of that offense, I think the Patriots are going to be all right.
Yeah. James, you're back. What's up, buddy?
Sorry about that. Technical issues.
Computer's
I don't know. What's that?
The computer's drunk.
It's taking St. Patrick's Day off.
Yeah.
You had asked me if they should draft a quarterback. They should. I think so. You can't hope that Cam Newton's your long-term future. So I think you have to at least take a shot on somebody, see what you have. I'm not as high on what they did as AK did. I know the tight ends create mismatches, but as a Bills fan, I wanted them to get one of those guys, but the two of them together, like they haven't put up big numbers in their careers so far. I don't know how they each can do that and not vulture each other. They used 2 third-round picks on tight ends last season. I don't know. It's kind of head scratching to me, but I guess we'll see. They're a team that wants to run the ball. I think they overpaid for wide receivers. I don't really know what their identity is going to be or what they're trying to do. Are they trying to be the Ravens where, you run the ball a lot, you scramble with Cam Newton and you throw to your tight ends? Is that kind of the approach they're looking for?
Well, that's why me and AK kind of brought up with the drafting the quarterback. AK thinks maybe Mac Jones. I said maybe Trey Lance because of the quarterback running thing. That could be
Could
it.
be.
You're the tiebreaker. Who's right, me or AK? Trey Lance or Mac Jones?
Trey Lance.
Oh,
Roll Tide.
you owe me a beer.
All right. Well, the last thing about the Patriots, kind of think back when they drafted Aaron Hernandez and Robert Gronkowski that first year. A lot of people thought that was stupid, and when those two were both on the field, that offense was pretty unstoppable because they were both just mismatches all over the place.
I will say that Belichick is pretty much on record of saying that he thinks that there's no greater weapon than a versatile tight end. He thinks that it creates the biggest mismatches and creates the biggest fits for defensive coordinators with having a versatile tight end who can, not only block, but also stretch the field vertically and horizontally. So, as somebody who is probably one of the, if not the best defensive mind to ever, set field on a football field, I think that he might have a pretty good understanding of that. And maybe he is trying to take that to the next level with the offensive schemes. But fantasy wise, do you have any confidence?
Stay away.
Yeah, nobody.
I mean, I don't even know which running back you'd go with going into next season. They'll probably draft somebody. I want to say Damian Harris is going to be the guy again, but
yeah,
he keeps getting hurt. You can't really rely on him.
Yeah, James White's gone, right? So maybe there's actually somebody not that will steal 1,000 catches again. But all right, fellas, let's get out of here. That was a fun free agency show. We're gonna have more of these obviously as free agency continues. It's just getting rolling officially today with the NFL before the legal tampering started, I guess, which is the dumbest thing in the history of the NFL. Like, just start free agency whenever. Like, who cares? But it's just the NFL controlling the calendar and getting you in front of them as much as they possibly can. But make sure you're checking us out everywhere that we're available, which is on audio podcasts, on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, make sure you're smashing the like button, guys. Subscribe to us. It goes a long way. Comment who do you think is the most surprising free agent move so far this year, and where can they find you on Twitter, AK?
Kenny True Love with no E.
James?
I'm at Fitchy24.
Find me at JDiz1617. You can find us at Ballin Over. We're tweeting stuff out constantly. Our PGA Bets picks are out. So by the time this video comes out, hopefully our golfers are doing well in the Honda Classic. Be on the lookout. We're going to have this show. We're going to have NBA Top Shots. So check them all out, guys. We got a lot of stuff going on. Head over to Borderfield Sports where you can find a ton of different content on every sport that's available out there. But cheers. Happy St. Patty's Day, everybody. Hope your glass stays full, and we'll talk to y'all next time.